Well, let's talk now about the critical minerals deal that's got everyone, especially China, talking. Australia's rare earths deal struck with the United States this week. Now, both countries will invest $1.5 billion into a pipeline of projects in an effort to reduce China's monopoly of the market. For more on this, I'm now joined by MBA Director and Senior Lecturer in Trade and Geopolitics, Dr Naoise McDonagh. Thanks very much for joining me. Welcome to the program. Let's break down this agreement. Why has it happened now?
Yeah, so essentially a bit of context is important here, Danica, and thank you, and good evening from Perth, by the way. So basically, the US and China have been involved in strategic economic competition since Trump 1.0, carried through till Biden, carried through to Trump 2.0, and it's escalated at every step along the way. Each side is trying to ensure the other side can't get strategic leverage. And in the US's case, they've been cutting China off from semiconductor technology, really important high-tech, advanced AI chips, etc. China is very unhappy about that, and it's also unhappy about the tariffs that have been leveraged against its economy. The US is essentially trying to decouple its industry. China's responded, it's played its biggest ace card, to put it in Trump terms, and this is China's control over rare earths.
Yeah, I mean, China's been watching this deal very, very closely. You're not wrong. It's interesting because Donald Trump said the other day that this has taken several months. So I feel like the deal's obviously been a long time coming. But the question is, will the agreement actually work, do you think?
Well, the deal has been a long time coming because China has been using this card previously and has been developing its domestic regulations in terms of enhancing export control. So everybody knows this has been coming. Actually, since 2010 was the first time China used this card against the Japanese at that time. So we've had time to do something. We've admired the problem far too much. And I think finally countries are starting to get on top of this. So the groundwork was being put in throughout the year. And then China actually dropped its biggest bomb in October by strengthening these rare earth controls so tightly that, for example, Danica, if you're using 0.1% of Chinese rare earths in your manufacturing and you're a private firm anywhere in the world, you must now apply for a license. You must tell China what you're doing with those rare earths. And if you're giving them to a military end user, you won't get them. Right, so that's kind of what we're up against, and that's why this deal has been set. Now, the question you asked, will it work? Right, this is a really difficult, challenging industry. China's decades ahead of everybody. It's highly technical. Mining these rare earths is hard. Turning them into actual metals that you can use in industry, defense products in particular, they're very important. That's even harder again. And at the moment, the rest of the world doesn't really have a lot of the know-how or the capital to do that, aside from a very honourable exception being Lynas Resources here, Australian farm base in Western Australia. And they were actually supported by Japan in the early 2010s and are the only kind of significant supplier of rare earths currently. So will it work? Time will tell, but it's a really good deal to begin with. There's quite a bit of money on the table to start a lot of exploration and pre-feasibility studies. Australia has quite a number of projects ready to go. And so this is the kind of effort we now need from government.
Is it a good deal for Australia and for taxpayers? What's actually involved, do you think, in ensuring that this is good and works for us?
Look, honestly, this is a high-risk endeavour, right? So there's the supply side, which Australia is really well placed to support. A lot of mines, it has the resources here, it has the rare earths, and it's a mining nation, right? It has the experience, it still needs to build up in rare earths in particular. Right, so Australia can play a really key role. The government can foresee that if the rest of the world, or at least key countries in industrial sectors, the EU, South Korea, Japan, if they get on board and are willing to pay for the price of security of supply, then there actually is a viable, profitable industry for Australia. If they don't get on board, then there's a high risk that taxpayer money doesn't go to good use. Now, there's also another element to this. We can't measure rare earth security of supply solely on profit because we need it for our defense industry. If you want to have AUKUS submarines, Australia does. If you want to have F-35 jets, Australia already has those. And you want to keep producing those, you have to have those rare earth inputs. Otherwise, your defense sector doesn't work. So there's a cost to this that's beyond standard economics.
Yeah, there's a lot involved in it, that's for sure. Naoise McDonagh, good to catch up. Thanks very much for joining me on the show. Appreciate it.